The silence that followed was deafening. It was as if the entire world had held its breath, waiting, watching. The manor trembled beneath our feet, its very foundation rebelling against the rejection of the ritual. The air grew thick with a tangible darkness, the very essence of Victor's wrath manifesting around us. The spectral brides shrieked in unison, their wails a chorus of agony and defiance as they closed in on him, their translucent hands grasping at his form, trying to drag him into their abyss of torment. The walls contorted, shifting and twisting like a living entity, and the ceiling cracked, debris raining down upon us. I barely had time to react as a massive wooden beam came crashing down between me and Emily, separating us in an instant. I scrambled to my feet, coughing as dust filled my lungs, my vision blurred by the chaos. "Emily!" I screamed, searching for any sign of her through the haze of destruction. The air shimmered with an eerie glow, the trapped spirits flickering in and out of existence, their anguish palpable. Then, through the swirling shadows, I saw her. Emily stood at the altar, her hands clutching the edges of the crimson-draped table as if holding on for dear life. Victor loomed over her, his form grotesquely distorted, his once human features barely recognizable beneath the veil of malevolence that had fully consumed him. His elongated fingers curled around her wrist, his grip tightening with each passing second. "You think you can defy me?" Victor's voice was no longer his own. It was layered, twisted, as if 1,000 voices spoke in unison, their rage pouring into every syllable. The manor groaned, responding to his fury. The chandeliers swung violently, the flames within them sputtering and dying one by one. The paintings of the Blackwood brides warped, their faces contorting in grotesque horror. Emily gasped, her knees buckling beneath the crushing force of his presence. "Let me go," she choked out, struggling against his grip. But Victor only laughed, a guttural, chilling sound that sent ice through my veins. I couldn't just stand there. I had to do something. With every ounce of strength I had left, I lunged forward, pushing past the debris and spectral hands that clawed at me, desperate to keep me away. The moment my hand touched Victor's shoulder, a shockwave of energy surged through me, throwing me backward with a force that knocked the air from my lungs. I hit the ground hard, pain radiating through my body, but I forced myself up, watching in horror as Victor's form began to shift again. His body convulsed, his head snapping back as an unearthly scream tore from his throat. The shadows around him thickened, swirling into a vortex of pure darkness. The spirits surrounding him wailed louder, their sorrow and rage merging into a force beyond comprehension. Emily's eyes met mine, wide with fear, but within them, I saw something else. Determination. In that moment, she made a decision. Her free hand shot out, grabbing the fallen dagger from the altar. Without hesitation, she drove the blade into Victor's chest. A blinding light erupted from the wound, piercing through the darkness like a beacon of salvation. Victor's scream shattered the air, his body convulsing violently as cracks formed across his skin, light spilling from within. The manor trembled as if it too were crying out in agony, its very foundation unraveling beneath the force of what was happening. The spectral brides surged forward, their ghostly hands pressing against Victor's form. Their whispers became a chant, a chorus of broken souls uniting in one final act of defiance. Victor's body fractured, his face frozen in a grotesque snarl of rage and despair before he shattered completely, his essence dissolving into nothingness. The vortex of shadows collapsed in on itself, the oppressive weight of his presence vanishing in an instant. And then, silence. Emily staggered, the dagger slipping from her grasp as she fell to her knees. I rushed to her side, pulling her into my arms, my heart pounding against my ribs. "It's over," I whispered, barely believing the words myself. The manor, once alive with its sinister will, began to wither. The walls cracked and crumbled, the chandeliers fell, the paintings burned, and the spirits, freed from their torment, began to fade into the ether, their tortured expressions easing into peace. A gust of wind surged through the hall, sweeping away the last remnants of Victor's reign. The doors, which had once sealed us in, burst open, revealing the night beyond. With what little strength we had left, Emily and I rose, supporting each other as we stumbled toward the exit. The moment we crossed the threshold, an ear-splitting crack echoed behind us. We turned just in time to see the manor collapse in on itself, its ancient stones crumbling into dust, the Blackwood legacy finally buried beneath the weight of its own sins. The night was eerily still, the moon casting its silver glow upon the ruins. Emily turned to me, her eyes filled with exhaustion but also something else, relief. "We did it," she breathed, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I allowed myself to believe it. We had survived. The nightmare was over. But as we stood there, catching our breath, a chilling breeze whispered through the air, carrying with it a faint, familiar voice. "You may have won this time, but the Blackwood curse is eternal."